Good evening, Andrea. How are you?
Good evening, Rami.
Are you okay?
Uh, yes, of course. I'm a bit excited. It's first time for me to be in live on the Zoom. But I'm looking forward to it. Comparing with what I saw the previous interviews, that's a really high level. So I'm looking forward to do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'll take 2 minutes to present you shortly. So today with us is Andrea Ausztrics, who is a filmmaker, curator, and visual artist focusing in documentaries, concept videos, and printed zines, artbooks. Andrea was born and raised in Budapest. She has an interest in her own history and heritage. She holds 2 master's degrees in aesthetics and cultural anthropology. And these days, she's completing her PhD, which is very relevant for us. It's about innovative Jewish museums. She's making a comparison between Europe and the American best practices. In 2015-16, she was a Fulbright scholar at the NYU. And through her work and art practice, she engages with religion and identity issues. So we're very glad to have you with us. I will just say that this conversation is taking place as part of the 2020 online series, which is basically trying to reach out to artists all around the world, ask them how they are doing, how does the situation affect them, and hear their projections about what's going to be in the art world and contemporary art world in the next future. And the series is taking place in partnership with the Lambert Center of Arts and Ideas at the JCC Manhattan. So, Andrea, great to see you. Can you tell us a little bit? How are you? What's going on in Budapest? How are things?
Yeah, so I'm at home. I'm at home a long time ago. So things are a bit like, hectic. I mean, for me, it's like there's lots of up and downs. And so like first time when the lockdown kind of started, I got sick immediately.
Was it COVID or
just... we don't have tests, so
maybe.
I don't know. So I was out a lot. Like I was like visiting concerts, being in bars, like meeting a lot of people. Like the previous weeks, because obviously, like when it was not here, it's not here. So it didn't really felt like it's a risk or something. And I remember they closed the theaters on Wednesday, and I think I got sick on Friday or something. Well, obviously I went for see the last show in theaters, which was maybe not the best idea, but anyway. So yeah, I was sick for 2 weeks, and I'm still not sure that what happened. My parents say obviously it was just I got cold because I used my bicycle and it was windy and whatever, but I was sick more than 2 weeks, and I didn't really do anything. So it was really like between bed and couch thing. So obviously I read all the COVID stuff, like internationally, locally, what's happening, how many people died so far, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. But at the end, like I had not that strong symptoms, so we still don't know that was or not. Maybe if we will have some tests one day. Obviously, like you can have only tests in Hungary when you're really sick and you go to the hospital, and probably you go with other people in the same car. So if you wouldn't have it before, there's a bigger chance you go with COVID. So I prefer not to risk it. So since then, it was like 2 weeks, and after I started to realize that, okay, so there's a new role for the life, and in that time, all the jobs basically, because I'm working as a freelancer,
Mm-hmm.
canceled, or like not canceled, just proposed, like
Yeah.
respond that like we will continue when things are getting better. So, but like I think like for most of the people like in the art world, it happened the same. Like obviously there's no exhibitions. Uh, why to print things? Obviously had to cancel. Like I'm also a volunteer in the local zine festival, which
Mm-hmm.
should have been an international one in this year. So we started to work on it. We had the location, etc. And like we still like zooming on, and like we will decide like what's gonna be. Um, but besides this, I didn't really had like big plans. Fortunately I didn't have to cancel any kind of big trips, or I didn't have any tickets. But I got an invitation for the South African Limit in August, which
It's an online festival.
no. So
It's a real one.
I got an invitation before. I don't remember, one in January or something, and I was really really looking forward to go to South Africa. Obvious reasons. I've never been there, and it's like a 3 location limit, so it's like 3 times limit, and you can exercise your capability of lecturing.
So
uh,
just let's just say that Limud is basically an event that takes place in different places around the world, in which people gather and study together things that are connected to Judaism, but not necessarily. So there's one in South Africa. I wasn't.
no, there's in 3 cities. So it's a combination. Like they invite you for these locations, which is amazing, and they invite like 2 Europeans in a year or something. So
Mhm.
it got really honored by the invitation, and they still didn't decide if they're gonna cancel or not. But
What will be the lecture about?
so I would bring one film, obviously, because I have few on on the topics, and like one is the three generation identity and heritage in Hungary. It's like a documentary, and I wanted to do another one, more like works in Shabbat, because they asked me also to have to prepare something, and there's a new workshop that I'm working on, which is also a printing stuff that I gonna describe it, or I gonna talk about it later. So
Okay. So we'll wait with this.
this is so far like the thing that I probably will miss, and of course like a lot of jobs that I don't have, or who knows, like like what's gonna be like a normal life,
Mm.
because like we don't know. So it's like
So you said the issue is now that basically all the art events are canceled. It's problematic from your side in two ways. It's like you can't enjoy them, but also it's in a way your way to make a living, right?
yes, and it's like, so not only for me, like all my, like most of my friends are working like artists, or like working in the art industry, because it is like a lot of people like working as an organizer, curator, owning places which is closed, or renting places, what they have to deal with, also the rent money.
Yeah.
So um, So it's like a huge, you know, connection between people, like even if it's like going back in a kind of normal way, because your own government will decide that, you know, economical reasons are more important than health issues, or, you know, will solve somehow. I mean, this is what I see in kind of a direction, because according to our news, the 4th of May actually was the the highest point of, you know,
The COVID.
COVID, and now we are actually, obviously not Thursday, so we are going down. I heard in 2 days we have every day a news. So I heard about our government that it's actually going down. So
The government is
so we have um how to say, an operational group that they had a press conference every day, and they're talking about actually that how many people got sick, how many people died, how many people get healthy. So we have like an exact numbers each day, what's going on. Oh, it's up to you.
And you're staying tuned? You're checking this every night, every day?
To be honest, no. I checked it yesterday, and I checked it also today, because I was curious that, you know, if there's any difference, or like, well, what's the actual difference, because they say like in these 24 hours, and because I was also preparing for this interview, I was like, interesting facts. So if you're interested in some of the facts, I can tell you.
Okay, the worst is behind you, and that's the most important.
Yes, the worst.
Like from the health point of view, and then economically, let's see what happens. But I guess you hear what happens in those days in New York. You spend there like quite a long time. You miss New York?
Not these days. Or, yes, obviously I miss a lot of friends and you know, experiences that I had there. But like I've been chatting, and I like had like once in a week a talk with one of my friends who's living there, and she was also sick, and it was like in the same time. So we actually changed, you know, every day that, like, who is better and who is like feeling what. So I had this pen friend on COVID, and yeah, she actually said like very interesting things about that how the government acts on like people, like how they support people. So for example, here there's actually no financial support. There's like, as I also like, you know, researched and learned that there's like the people who are got unemployed, they obviously can get on a line, you know, and here is the regulation. It's like after when you lost your job, you can have a 3-month support. In New York, I heard from her that it's pretty different, and they are actually doing very well, and they are helping. And obviously, because of the housing situation, which is pretty rough there. But I also saw some videos that people like you know, starting to fight against the situation, and they are not paying their rent, and you know, when there's a lot of people like deciding to do something together, there's a chance that, you know, there will be a support, and there will be you know, NGOs that like going behind them and like helping to develop their situations.
So we'll talk about New York and your project that was actually born there and somehow arrived to Jerusalem in 2017. But before that, I want you to tell us in a few sentences about your PhD thesis, because it's so relevant to the Jerusalem Biennale. Basically, you're comparing between Jewish museums in the US, Jewish museums in Europe, and their best practices. Can you tell us just like a brief?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the brief.
I know it's always a problem with the...
It's just my 10 years, you know. So
Yeah. In the last 10 years, I researched, and this is what I discovered in 1 minute.
so actually, it's so when I started to do this, that was like a first like passion to visit Jewish museums, and obviously it was like mostly in Europe. And what I discovered in Europe that from my perspective, what I prefer in a Jewish museum, it's giving a bigger picture on something, not like doing a collection of videos or collection of objects. And back then it was like mainly only the Jewish Museum in Berlin that had this whole concept telling the story to understand for or not only like Jews or people who are actually interested in Jewish history, but like for everyone. So that's why I think they have like a very good program for schools, that they probably have to visit, and it's working. And through the years, actually, because of their situation, the migration in Berlin changed. They opened a lot for the Muslim society, which I think it was really interesting. And the years they have like very very interesting exhibitions, compared situations or topics in Christianity and the Muslim community and in the Jewish community in Berlin. So they created like a very interesting temporary location-based heritage exhibitions. So and after like Vienna started to also grow in this direction, and they have more and more interesting topics, and they redesigned also the exhibition and created the story of it. And after Poland opened in and it also talks about like the 1,000 years of the Polish Jews. And that museum, it's very famous about they don't actually have objects at all.
Yeah, it's all kind of interactive videos. And
It's there are some interactive parts, but the most important thing is they creating images. I think they really reflect on the technical development, and very reflecting on that what people using in their everyday life. So So what's important, I think, in these three museums, and actually Berlin, it's like changing. So it's supposed to open in May, I think. And I really wanted to see the new exhibition because it was like, the previous one was like a bit outdated with the time, of course. And I'm really looking forward to see like what will be the new stuff. And so what's interesting in these three institutions, that they are really trying to bring in what's current, what's going on also today, and not just like history-wise, but also like how we see things, how we listen things, and how we understand and how we coping with things. So when we are leaving a museum and we're going home, what the things will stay. And I think it's very important, and that's what I call like the good examples. For me, it's like, as my part of the thesis, like it's a good example to see something that that the history gives in the whole circle. And also in the States, so I got to the States, to New York, thanks to the Fulbright scholarship, to actually like making my dissertation in a comparison and not just only talk about the European examples, because I think all these ideas mainly are coming from the States. And I had the opportunity to go to a lot of Jewish museums and also meet with the directors or some of the curators. It depends on the institution and what I wanted to do. And obviously I also had like at the end of the year, I decided that which places are interesting in my research, or interesting in to put in my dissertation. And
so I guess you visited the New York one, right? That's the
yes, and it
probably
was
the most important one.
because through the years, like that was so in 2015-16 they already changed their kind of the the design, so it was really modern already. And after, when I went back a year later, or yes, they changed the core exhibition, which I think was a very, very good idea. And since then, I think they changing like every 4 months something from their collection. So they also like exhibiting objects, but from a very different ways that previously they had, like the story of Judaism kind of. And it was a it was a bit overwhelming. And now I think they are doing a very great job, and obviously it's a very innovative way of like how they exhibit the collection.
Okay, so when you were in New York, this project was born. It's called 585,000 square meters. I know it very well because we hosted it in as part of Biennale 2017. And I'm gonna share, and let's see, this not this one, it's this one. So can you tell us how it was born and what it is all about?
Yes. So this was actually the invitation card for the exhibition, and it happened kind of I won't say randomly, but so I was in New York, and I went for another exhibition for the Hungarian embassy, and I met the culture attaché and the director, and we just started to talk. That they asked like what I'm doing here, and I told them that about my research, and they had the idea that actually they wanted to have an exhibition on the Jewish quarter in Budapest, like long time ago. And they said that it would be nice if I'm sending my resume to them. So as you see, yeah, previously was the invitation cards also for the Jerusalem Biennale, and also it was Hungary. Yeah, these ones. So as so actually the design, what you see, the pink one, it's the map of the Jewish quarter, and the inside design, it's the ghetto. So we had this situation in Budapest that both of the ghetto and the Holocaust and the actual old Jewish quarter was in the same place. Like as you see, a big difference. So
that's the installation from New York or from Budapest?
Yeah. So this was the first installation. We had a huge place. Thanks to the embassy, they found this place in the Lower East Side, and we were really happy because obviously the Lower East Side has this immigrant story. They immigrated to New York, and also the Jewish quarter has the story of like the first place where actually Jews were allowed to move in and start their life there. So we found that it's the parallel stories was really important and interesting. And as you see, it's like so yeah. So they saw my CV. They thought that it's let's do it. And they said that I have 6 months, and let's do something which we can make in 6 months. And and I started to work. The culture attaché, she became my co-curator, so she was my partner to make this happen. So yeah, it was not easy, to be honest, to decide what's most important. And now these photos are the exhibition in the Jerusalem Biennale. As you see, like it's a bit different because
it gave you a very, very different space. It was very special. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it because it was also lucky because we had these different rooms, and so I decided to put all the archive photos inside the rooms and also the videos. So there was not too much light, so you can see the videos, and it was like, you know, you see the different stories, because the exhibition actually contains 9 building story. So we decided, like, you know, like how to tell a story in like that short time, and also like what's the main focus. So
you were giving the cells. It's like one big room with all kinds of small cells. It used to be the prison when the British mandate were here in Israel. And then in every cell there was a video and a few artworks, and you could sit, only I think one person or maybe two,
yes.
and watch it. And I thought it was like super interesting installation. But maybe you can tell us like one story of those 9 buildings, to just give an example for those kind of stories, buildings that were part of the Budapest Jewish quarter.
So for example, here you see like these are the main photos. So they were the biggest ones. I think it's like what was important for us. It's talking about like 3 different kind of buildings, what we have, and which is, you know, kind of connected to kind of sacred places and public places and local businesses, because this is what, you know, Jews established from the beginning when they moved in. So as you see here, we have the synagogue, we have the school, we have the restaurant, we have the bar, and we have the local businesses, the grocery, and we have another restaurant as the local business, which was used to something else. So we wanted to have something which was something in the beginning, like 150 years before, and it changed with the time, and how it changed, and with the new photos. So in the archives, you could see, like, you know, what was the before, that was a butcher, and now it's a restaurant, and this kind of the story, that how we put it together. And with the new photos, we wanted to like do something very contemporary. So that's why we asked Eva Sombat, who was the photographer, because she had like a very strong style, and we wanted to make like you know, a very current and very modern and then very visible work on it, which is very different than the archive photos. So when you, and if you go back one page,
this one?
Yeah, this one. So after, like, we had in New York, we had a other show in Montreal, and we went to the next year in the Jerusalem Biennale, and after that, in the next year, it was in Budapest. And in Budapest, I already decided that not to exhibit the films.
Not to exhibit the films. Why not?
Because that was like not enough space, and it was already online, and I thought that, you know, everybody is like using so much technology that actually I don't need to put screens in a smaller place. So you can use your own phone, and this is what, like, we did with the QR codes. So you can, as you see in the photo, that they are trying, and they are achieving also, which is good. So everybody could see it, and we also recorded the stories in Hungarian and also in English.
And
so
how was it accepted in Hungary? An exhibition that brings up to the surface the history of the Jewish quarter, but, you know, on the way also reminds people about World War II and the Holocaust. How was it accepted in Hungary?
To be honest, it's you know, it's a place, it's a Jewish historical museum where was the exhibition. So obviously, like, the people who came to see the exhibition, mostly people who are interested in the topic. So there was no news on that, you know, like something it's like not interesting, or like, why would you still care about this topic? It's Budapest, like, Budapest has a huge Jewish community. So exhibitions and topics are like happening. I mean, these kind of exhibitions, although not about the Jewish district, but, Jewish topics happening like all the time. So there's not really like a negative comment on it, because there's no people who are coming to comment on in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a bubble, but on a way that obviously we are happy that there's a lot of people coming because they are interested. People are not coming who are not interested. So what I just wanted to say about it, that it's like I really try to do the digital part of it, because I thought that it's interesting also, like bringing, these are just images, like if you go through, so these are images from the videos, and the next one also images from the videos. So it's like, it tells for everyone that visually are very different, because I wanted to have like the 10 films, which is one introduction, 9 films with the 9 buildings, having like very different genres. So they are like, there's documentary, there's stop motion animation, there's different, there's animation also, like drawings, and so it's online, both of them. And if you just scroll one down, I think there will be, yeah, so no, we also made a publication on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it looks like. And now, so this one, it's the QR codes. So this is what we gave to the people on the exhibition also.
Uh-huh.
And so the whole idea was to go to live them, to bring them into the quarter, because the exhibition was also in the quarter. And it was like an open call to go there, and you can find it, and when you're there, you can watch the video, and you can listen the story, because in the other side, if you scroll one down, you also see, so these are the stories. And if you go one up, here there's also a Google Maps. And so what I also wanted to share this, not because of we had this exhibition at the Jerusalem Biennale, which was amazing, but also like in a certain time you feel like that was an exhibition, but how you can share it if you're not making like a huge art book of it, or like I don't know. So it's really hard to just let it go, something which you put like a lot of work on it. And
it was created in 2016, and then since it was in Montreal, it was in Jerusalem. But now you're saying it's still in Budapest. You can go in Budapest and to find those different buildings and locate your QR codes and see those movies. It's still there.
Yeah, so the exhibition itself, it's not there. But as you see here, that was my first kind of step, that they do a map in the Google Maps inside. So when you you have the link, you go there, and you can, as you see, you can see there's 2 links. You can hear the story of the building, and you can see the film. But obviously, as you see, it's like a bit like basic, I would say. So Google Maps like supporting this kind of things, but like you cannot. So I have the link. I cannot like put anywhere, just like, hey, use it, whatever, it's for free, because it's just like, I don't know. So it's a bit complicated, and this is what I actually started to think of it. And what you see now, this is it's an online program series by Marom, who is a Jewish organization, Jewish youth organization in Budapest. They started to make this Jewish Culture 2028, so very optimistic. And it says that it's the art cannot be in quarantine.
Okay, so that's a great title for our conversation. Art cannot be in quarantine.
This is the program title. It's super new. It's gonna be the first, I think the first one, yeah, will be tomorrow. No, the day after tomorrow, sorry. So I'm really interested in that, what they gonna do. And we also decided that we do something in a collaboration to try to find a good platform for the films and the stories of the exhibition. And we will have here an online talk with 2 or 3 artists with their films, and we're gonna share it, and we're gonna talk about like how to make actually like a walking tour or an online walking tour. You know, you don't need a tour. You have the tools, and you know, even in these days, like you're allowed to go out. You have, you know, healthy walk, and if you're alone, like you can do it. You can watch the film, so you can do it from your sofa. But the most problematic things I think from these are actually that in one point, you know, it's not interesting. It's interesting to be on the spot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a nice thing as a, you know, temporary thing, but at one point I think maybe we're already in that point. There's like enough of the online content, like people can't stand being in front of their computer anymore. We're trying to do our best. Let's go to the other file you sent me. This is your porch?
Yes.
That's amazing. I wish I had one like this. It's
So
sun.
I took this photo from the street today, this afternoon, and I did it because if you see, there's like at that particular moment, there's not too many people, but there are a lot of there are people on the street, so it's not empty at all. And this is my my garden. This is where I'm sitting and you know, having some fresh air. And time to time, when it's like today was not very warm, but in general when it's warm, like a lot of people, it's outside. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking that, you know, what this quarantine time means, that if I'm at home for like 7 weeks or so, and the rest of the people is just like going back and forth in the same, like, you know, I see the like all the shops like open in front of me, and people are going in and out, and then just, you know, it's kind of like very, I don't know, it's very strange when you are sitting at home all day and you see a lot of people like not doing it.
So you say, you know, if people are out anyway, let me go back to my stuff. Let me go back to my job, my art, my filmmaking.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, because, you know, from the beginning, it was kind of obvious that what you have to do. It was like nothing, like for me, it was not questionable, or like, okay, it's not the time for making house parties, or now I have time and I can hang out with all my friends because I don't have work, so I can go to the, you know, Danube and have a lot of drinks. It's like you're not doing it because like you are thinking of also like the society and other people's, and, you know, just like humanity in general. And this is what I feel like, you know,
From a point of view of your own work, like, do you really take the time and use it to research? Because I spoke with a few artists so far, and in a way I found there's two sides, two groups. One group saying it's an amazing time, like, well, I cannot stop working, I'm like in the zone, and the other group say I'm completely blocked. You know, from the minute the whole thing started, I sit at home, I have plenty of time, but I can't do anything. So
yeah, unfortunately, I'm in the blog group.
okay.
So yeah, I what I'm trying to do is like creating a routine, which I never did. So, you know, I always had this hectic life that running between 2 meetings, having a meeting at 9 p.m. Who cares? there's no limits of work, and I was really happy with it. And obviously I went out for a lot of concerts and art shows and contemporary dance, which I missing a lot. And I cannot do it online. It's like it will kill my soul. I feel like not to be part of something. So yeah, my kind of like, I'm trying to do small goals. This is what I'm doing. Like every morning I write down something like 3-4 things that I have to do. And after, if I did it, like kind of, I feel like more proud, stuff. And I think this is how can continue. um,
So this is an example, or
yes, this is a good example, because yeah, like what I said, like obviously I'm not made like 50 pages of my dissertation, but at least like I try to uh, make time, like 2 hours in a day, that I'm only doing that thing. And this is about the Contemporary Jewish Museum in San Francisco, and they have Sunday stories about their current exhibition or the previous exhibitions. And so what I actually discovered through my research, that everybody obviously put everything online, or like they are constantly doing something that they keep their audience. Because in America, the museums are funded by people. It's not from it's not a governmental fund. So it's important, they need their people. And so I really like this one. I recommend everyone to listen it, because
so it's
even,
every Sunday in a specific hour?
no, it's like, yeah, there's a specific hour. You can see, you can check in, but you can see whatever you want. So it's on their Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not doing it every Sunday. Like, sometimes I'm doing after, or like, I'm just like, oh, I forget it, but there's a story. And so
Nice.
it's,
Oh, sorry.
wait a second. So it's called,
I'm curious.
yeah. So because the stories are like connected. So this is like a good example of like, how to use your like a 15 minutes of your life. Because you will get a story of like something which is interesting in the topic what you're interested in. And I felt like most of the other options to, for example, like go through in a museum with Google Maps. And I also wrote an article about it in Hungarian, that and the Jewish Museum in Philadelphia, that it's interesting, but it's only interesting when you've been there. So it's like you can revisit, but for people like Google Maps who have never been in an institutions, I think they can get anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also like the Jewish museums in New York, I think they have like good interviews and good stories. And when you're just like, you need to relax and you feel like, okay, now I would really love to like do something, but I don't want to just sit in front of my computer and watching constantly something.
You know what? In a way, I feel a bit of joy. I'm glad when things online are not so great. Because I say to myself, I hope it won't be too good, because then people won't go to the museum. It's like a kind of a childish concern. But I'm saying if it's going to be really great, then we're lost. We're losing our field to the online things. And every time something looks so stupid and shallow, I say, great, that's good.
It's an interesting question, because some of the things are very good that we have a technical part of it, like you can see and you can use it everywhere, but you won't have the same feeling. So I think when you have an exhibition, you have to step in, you have to feel the whole atmosphere. And for me, it was always important to have, to combine different parts like music and films and photos. And when you are there and you have like your own spot in a specific place, you experience all of it, and it's never gonna be online. I mean, I also saw like programs that are putting everything online, and it's an experiment. It's interesting. It's an educational tool, but definitely not like, like a memory. It's never gonna be a memory. I remember museums that the time when I stepped in, like I still have, all these feelings that I was excited, to touch the wall. And it's not going to happen online.
No.
So
So I have nothing to worry about.
no.
So shall we go on?
Yes, let's go.
It's quite, we need to rush things a little bit because I want to ask you in the end a few questions besides the work. So let's do this one first.
So it's just one image of us.
It's a talk about art.
I know, but I put it here because I also spent like 2 weeks to collect all the videos what I made for Maram in between like 2007 and 2015, because we also decided we will share it somehow, and we are not gonna create new things, but for us it's also important that like what we achieved in the last, 20 years, that people been part of a community and we created a lot of things together, and it's important to make it visible, to see it and re-experience it, and not like rushing people. I really hated in the beginning that everybody shared everything, that how you have to do things, and I was so depressed that I couldn't handle, like I was like, I really have to learn like French in 2 weeks and this kind of things. It's not gonna happen. It's like I already felt the shame. So that's why this photo is. It's remembers. It's in the social action exchange program that I made a video.
Yeah, many people are taking this time to go to the archives and make like order in their closet and in their files, and pull up some ridiculous photographs of ridiculous people from 10 years ago, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Yes, it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago in January.
Yeah, you were in Jerusalem. Amazing. This
it's not the photo that where I would like to go. It's it's a screenshot. It's not the best, but it's a screenshot from a friend's work. His name is Balázs Varjutót, and he is an artist, and he made this series of videos about work like 7 months ago, and I think I put it here because I thought that it's really relevant also, like to remember myself, like what work does mean for me, like what the word, and also in Hungarian I think it's very interesting because it's not only means so it means munka, it's also work and job, so the one word that we use like it means 2 different things in a way, or like the combination.
It means work and it means job.
A job, yeah.
A job. Okay.
So like, and from our like perspective, like from like what I inherited from my parents, the idea that that to work hard, it's essential. This is you, and if you're not working, like you are like not nobody, but even less, and kind of like also, of course, like with art project, I was like not paid, or like did a lot of things which I was voluntarily doing, and just like telling myself that it's not a problem. It's like work also means like putting effort in something. It doesn't mean that I have an income at the end. And this is very it's still very hard, you know, to tell myself it's not doing nothing when I'm like sitting in front of a book for 10 hours and reading.
It's amazing. It's basically what you're saying is the fact that I'm not getting paid in this time for these different reasons that are not in any way dependent on me. The fact that I'm not getting paid doesn't mean that I'm not doing something worthy, something with value.
Yes.
So this is the image. And so your work or your job, besides being a curator and a filmmaker, you're also an actor.
No. The interview happened with other creators, artists, people who are, you know, like talking about the the philosophical aspects of what they think of what work means, basically. So that's why I put it here, because I didn't even thought at that time that it's gonna be so relevant, you know. Like,
I would love to see the whole thing. If you have a link to send us in the end of this conversation.
All in Hungarian.
Oh no. Okay, so I'll use the next 2 weeks to learn Hungarian.
Or I use the next weeks to, you know, to make subtitles. So, okay, so let's make it fast. So this was kind of the last work. We had an exhibition in Tubiswat, and this is also a zine, you know, an art book. It's called Stikli. And this is the #1, and it's also thanks to the Jewish Culture 2028 by Marom and Zsófia Sam's curator's work.
What is Stikli? What does it mean, Stikli?
It's like a trick. It's it means the trick.
Okay.
If you go down, so there's just an image of like some other works, and so these are the images what I created, and I put it here because I also wanted to reflect on like my kind of previous works that I'm using old photos, and
the title here is משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. If I'm like who causes the wind to blow and the rain to fall. Yes. It's from the prayer, right?
Yes. So actually, it's, you know, it's a Talmudic reference, because I wanted to also reflect on the situation and to be Bishvat that there's a chance that because we are not taking care of our earth, we are not thinking of our environment, natural environment, nobody will pray for the rain, and there will be no nature anymore. So the whole series of photos are reflecting on it. I choose these photos from the 20s, 30s, 40s that I found online. It's called Fortepan. It's a very nice archive from found photos and people's photos that they are sending them, and you can use whatever you want. And I photoshopped out all the nature, and this was basically the series that I wanted to share, that even if we are like working hard or like we pretend to be human, without nature, there's whatever, there's no chance.
Yeah, looks very gloomy. So if you take the nature away. Wow.
So that was the concept, and from after that I use also this technique again, and I will probably use it for the next projects. I was participating in the OEV Amsterdam. There's it's a nice new place which opened, and now it's online. They have surprise. They have amazing place, and it's a cafe and an exhibition space, and they're doing really great, and hopefully it will reopen soon. And they started to do the Omer counting. So I decided that, you know, it's like it was like kind of an easy thing, you know, to participate. So like an easy goal for one day, you can do one thing. So, and I got it I got it the 18th day, the endurance in compassion. And so I decided to make this image, and the title is to take a moment and call.
Which is also very actual right now because,
Yeah, I got lucky with my day, because it was not it was not a difficult choice.
Yeah, take a minute to call your parents, to call your sisters, to call your friends, because you can't meet them, so give them a call. So that's so that's also.
So these are like previous publications, art books that I made, and this was just an example that I am using like these photos. I found it in the trash. Like I found it around 400, 500 photos, and I recreated in a different, obviously not all of them, but some of them I used for telling stories, and it's part of the story of a man and a woman, and a woman and a man, and that how like they lived their life in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And I just use it as an example. If you go down one page, so there's a new project of mine. It's the working title, it's Three Women, and this photo, it's these people are my family somehow. I don't know them. I inherited like a handful photographs from my aunt when she passed away, and I started to think of this is the project what I mentioned from the beginning, that I wanted to have something to work on, like the three generations of women in my family. And obviously the inherited traumas, and things that inherited which is not there, or like things that never been told, and like creating kind of new stories through photography. And if you go one down, there's also like I was in a workshop like doing stop motions, and I started to work with these photos. Like I cut it out the people, and I started to put them in different situations. And this is what like it will be one part of it, like creating and bringing that these people to somewhere and bringing other people to somewhere, and like kind of creating like a not existing time where all the family members in a way they can talk to each other. And I also like asked other people to participate, and the main goal is also like creating, as you see, it's one of the films from the exhibition by in the Jewish Culture exhibition by Eötvös. She redrew her family members, and this is how actually the film will put it together from drawings. And I also want to use in this publication like these kind of drawings, and just like in general talking about the inherited trauma, which obviously like was a big role of Holocaust was a big role of it. And I invited like other people to share their photos and stories, and this will be probably like a puzzled art book, which I would like to use in the future as workshop material to talk about traumas.
So do you think the trauma of today, even if it's trauma at all, I don't know, from your side, do you think the situation that we experience now with the COVID and the social distancing is going to be present in the future work, or it's going to be just like, in a few years, people won't even remember that it happened?
I think in that will be a trauma for long run, because obviously just imagine if like any kind of government would say like, now you can go out. There's no virus anymore. It was just like, short term. can you imagine like you sit next to a person who you don't know? Like you sit in the theater, like, you know, in the very tight line where you used to be. And when somebody started to coughing, like, what will be your reaction? Like, I would love to go, you know, any kind of culture events, but obviously I feel like even in the streets, like I'm crisscrossing, like I have my mask on and I'm looking to people like, you know, oh, he's not wearing a mask. So I don't really see that it will, you know, go away, because all these things that came like you still like feel like, is it true? Like it's so random, and it's here and it's not there, it's not here, and people like how they reacting, and you know, and we also like with these things and we reading every day something about it, we forget like a lot of things what's going on like governmentally, you know, like behind the scenes, like the political situations. And of course like you know, everybody knows what happened here, like with the emergency law, you know.
I'm not sure everybody knows, so maybe you can say a few sentences about it, because, you know, I hear in the news in Israel, sometimes they try to compare Netanyahu and Urban, and saying, you know, the direction that they lead. But maybe tell us a little bit about this, and if you think there's any connection to the COVID.
So basically, like what happened, it's you know, it's like our government one day decided that they will rule indefinitely, and obviously that was like I received online, you know, to vote like against it, and I voted against it, and you know, nothing happened, and the next day it just happened. I mean, like obviously I'm not voting there, just like a petition that we don't want it, and I'm sure that most of people didn't want it. Like who wants
Didn't want what? I'm not sure people know.
okay, so the emergency law means that now the government is deciding, you know, Fidesz is deciding without the opposition party, without everyone, they have the right to rule.
So it's basically canceling the parliament and deciding that the party, the largest party led by Urban, can just act as they see. They don't.
We can say that they killed the democracy. So this is like, you know, the titles what you can read, like when you go up and you research Hungarian situation. There's no democracy anymore. That's the headline. And yeah, it happened, and you know, I woke up next day and nothing happens. What happens, what I see, that there's no more articles basically, I mean in the Hungarian news, or in the Hungarian
media.
Media, there's not really articles about the whole situation, like, you know, what's going on there, because it's also important that you know, like so it's like the current speaker of the National Assembly said that the opposition party, it's not part of the nation anymore.
Wow.
So like these kind of sentences are like floating, you know, and what you can do. And there's also like things like what you understand, that you know, there's a small like, so it's just like I'm just jumping in topics like, you know, the tax allowance, which is important, and everybody gets something, some kind of tax allowance, but only NGOs and you know, the civil society are actually not getting it.
And you say maybe I'm just asking, in a regular time, some of the more liberal forces would go out to the streets and protest, but now because of the COVID they can't, or I don't know.
Not even just, so there's no, like, you actually now you're not allowed to, like, obviously, but because of the rules you're not allowed to protest. but even like with small protests that they try to make, that it's not happen because the government didn't let them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, you know, what you can read in the news, it's actually now it's really narrowed. You know, all the things are actually focusing on like our health, and you know, and what we know that it's getting better. There's only a few people sick, and it's every day it's better, and there's no more information. There's you know, so
like one narrative in the media. There's no real discussion. There's no opposition.
it's like you know, there's a restriction also in this law. There's a restriction of the freedom of the press, and they can go to the court. So now it's like somebody saying something, it's like, oh, so it's like, you know, it's not true. So it's actually really killing it. So not no news are coming to you when there's reality in it. So what's reality now? It's like you know, like which kind of hours in between you can go to the store, and who has to wear a mask and who doesn't, and
and now a question which, you know, I risk with it, but I want to ask you still, without being just being like real, and in a small way, in a very limited way, in a personal way, not in a big philosophy way. Do you think artists and art have a role in this situation?
I see examples, which is nice. So in the other hand, compared with this total anti-democratic situation, I see a lot of people like, for example, in singers or theater people, like participating in the online educational system, because there's also not a governmental step on it. So it's just like everything has to be online. This is like the rule, but like how like teachers should manage it, it's up to them. So what I see, it's like that they are reading tales, and you know, that's online, or they helping for the final exams with the students, with different tasks, and things are getting online and for free, you know, and filmmakers are doing like interviews and sharing it, and also like the online festivals and everything. It's like, I think I see it's like a try, like you know, like kind of like have the culture as it is, like not let it go because it's not important. Because I was also like thinking a lot in these days that what's like, sorry for the philosophical for but what's important in life, like, you know, when these kind of things happens, and it's important to eat, it's important to, you know, you have something that you eat, and you have place to sleep, and a lot of people like losing their places. And you know, it's like, is it important that I'm doing my projects, and you know, I'm a nice person who is like trying to, you know, solve traumas, but like who cares, because there's like bigger issues like hunger on the street. So yeah, it's a big question, and I really hope that it still matters, because I believe that a big amount of our personality, or like being human, means that we are creating culture, and we are experiencing the diversity of cultures, and then and at the end of the day, it helps us to, you know, keep human with each other, and like existing in like a society. And it's very, very hard, you know, to say bad things about my own country, because I'm Hungarian, I'm living here, I'm still not thinking like with the first visa I'm gonna move. but I'm a bit afraid, what's gonna be the next step, if it's over and we are rebuilding, you know, a society with the same kind of basics what we had before. Is there any change? If there's no change, so what was it, you know? And I'm sure that after COVID, there will be a lot of people, like a lot of art will deal like in a more deeper level than now. It's like posting on things, like, you know, because I think everybody has like I mean, I have anxiety. I think other people has also anxiety, and people, they just feel like they have to do something, and they have to show that, you know, they still exist, or like or show so that we are here together. So everybody has like a different methodology of how to work with this issue. But yeah, I think it will be present. It will be present on the art, in art pieces. I really hope that the rest of the things will survive.
Wow. So with this optimistic view,
Today, you know, I'm crying under the table.
I think filmmaking is really a place to be right now. Like, if there's something that will just grow and grow and grow, it's like people watching films, and the power of documentaries like you do, and the artistic films. I think it's huge. And I think that the power is in your hands, like, right?
Well, it's also, you know, like there's two different aspects. Like what I'm doing in the last couple of years, I'm working only in animation, and especially animation that integrated in documentary films. And I'm not sure that's, you know, the government's main issue to make critical documentaries, or making not only about Hungarian history and important kings. Um,
But
so
you're saying you're dependent in like state funding.
I mean, most of the Hungarian films are state funded. Even like I was working for the applied university with the the last films with the students in the master thesis, and it's also funded by the state. So the university got the money from the states. There's no, all the universities like here, it's you know, if they doing this kind of art, they got funded by the state. So that part, it's still okay, because there's no, I mean, obviously there's no work there and nobody's doing anything, but nowadays, but in just general. And my previous work was, which were like more like you know, like longer terms, was like either like from other funds, like not like, or not for Hungary, or like from Israel. So I I really hope that that part will come to me in one point, because this is the only, yeah, animation can happen like under COVID too, but it's not happening because everybody is afraid, you know, if the funds even like arriving. So it's not, it's you know, it's like kind of a mental situation, and maybe it's one point it's going to change, but now there's nothing. All the funds are stopped. So like American films, I heard that they will probably start to shoot in September, and there's a big chance that they will come back, I think, because, you know, about it's still relatively way cheaper to shoot here than there. So there's issues that it's not going to change, and obviously you can have the virus here or there. So, but in general, I don't know.
Well, we're way beyond our hour. It was really great to speak with you, fascinating, and maybe we should do it again. I enjoyed a lot, and I want to thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. I will say that we can stay here. If anyone has a question for Andrea, you can write it on the chat or write it on the Facebook Live. And in the meantime, I would say that we met as part of this program that tried to get Jewish people from different places around the world to meet. So we had a group working in New York, a group in Budapest, and a group in Jerusalem, and then we visited each other. I thought that was really an amazing program. And I hope those kinds of programs will be back to our lives very soon. Like, we want to go and visit other people. We want to meet people from different places around the world. And we want to collaborate. We want to do new projects together. So I'm sure that we will do those things again very soon after this COVID will be solved and disappear from our lives. I so much understand what you're saying about the strong effect. It is a trauma. In just 2 months, it's very hard for us already to imagine or to think about hugging someone that we don't know, or just being in a place crowded with people. But that's I think something that art can really be active in, like trying to repair this, trying to heal this effect of this horrible pandemic. So I will use.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Riva, I have a question. Do you think with the government being more oppressive, and also like in the States here, we have a problem of a lot of anti-Semitism with the COVID, that if you're in Hungary doing art that has a Jewish theme, that it would have an impact, all these things, in terms of you feeling free to do the Jewish art?
No.
No?
Sorry.
Good.
Answer, but I don't like. Previously, I never felt that that I had any kind of problem to do anything which is related to any Jewish topic, and I don't feel at all like to do anything which is related now.
You don't have the anti-Semitism that we have here in the States against the Jews or the Jewish politicians about it because of COVID?
Because of COVID, definitely, I don't feel that it makes a difference. No, it was like that we have anti-Semitism, and we had before, but it's not because of the COVID or because of the politicians. It just exists.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you, Riva, for your question. Anyone else would want to ask? Okay, so we shall end this conversation here, and I will just use the 1 minute to say that tomorrow, Thursday, we're gonna speak with Jonathan Ullman, an artist based in Tel Aviv, for anyone who wants to get updates about what happens in Tel Aviv. And then on Sunday, we will talk with Mirta Kupfernik from Buenos Aires. It was a talk that was supposed to be last week, but was postponed, and it's going to be on Sunday, 9 p.m. Jerusalem time. Andrea, thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Rami.
I'm so glad that the chair behind you stayed. In the beginning, I was scared that it will fall, but it's still there. I'm relieved.
Yeah, it's there forever.
So thank you so much, and I would love to hear more about your thesis, and we will be soon doing more projects together.
I hope so. See you next Thursday in Biennale.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everybody, and have a good evening.
Good evening.
Night. Thank you.